Hi, I'm Bob Vila. Welcome home again to our modular construction story. Today we're going to be giving you a recap of how our house was built in boxes. And of course, it's been trucking down the road for about 4 or 5 hours to get here to our location. We're going to be putting all the different boxes into the right places, showing you how it gets bolted together, and basically constructing a big house in about half an hour. Stick around. It's good to have you home again. Well, the moment we've all been waiting for is here. We're getting our houses put into place, or our box sections, right, guys? And we've got Pat Frascioni and Dave Bonello from Simplex Industries joining us here in the Berkshires. What does that thing weigh?
The box itself, Bob, is anywhere between 15 and 16 tons.
That's a lot of tonnage.
That's a lot of tonnage, yeah.
Boy. And of course, I'm not sure what's in that section. Isn't that part of the kitchen?
Yeah, that half is the kitchen, living room, and the dining room area is in that box.
So have we got all our cabinets and our countertops in place there, and we've got, obviously, we got our Pella French doors looking at us. Nothing has broken along the way.
No, everything held up fine in transportation.
Yeah. And so what we've done is we've hired a company from another location to bring the crane here, right?
That's correct.
What size crane is that, Pat?
It's an 80-ton crane, Bob.
Are we going to be all right with an 80-ton crane?
Oh, well, that should be fine.
Yeah, good, good. Yeah, there's the arched wall. So this goes towards the very back of the foundation, right?
Yes, this is the back box. There'll be another little piece that we set over here. That little small section will be put on next, extending that dining room and making a much longer room.
Right, right. Now, this has come a few hundred miles down the highway. And
yes,
obviously, you just don't drive out of the Simplex plant and head for the Berkshires.
No,
what kind of planning has to be done before you get here?
Well, what happens first is we actually have to run a route survey. Because these boxes are over 14 foot wide, these are actually 15.9 boxes.
Yeah.
They require special routing, more than the normal width boxes would require. So we run a route survey up here and make sure that we're going to clear all our...
You mean a person goes out and scouts all the roads?
Yes, actually, one of our flag drivers would go out in advance, run the trip, and make sure that the overpasses are all things that we can clear, and make sure there's no problems along the way that might not normally be known about if you just took the map out and looked at the route.
Yeah, sure. And Pat, this is interstate commerce, isn't it? So
that is correct.
What happens when you go from one state to the next?
Well, what we need to do is then our dispatch office needs to get that information from the route survey and apply for our permits. And every state has their own permit office, and they tell the permit office which routes we want to go in. So then in addition to that, you know, there's also restrictions of roads and also times that we have to travel across these roads.
Yeah, and some of these roads, like right here in the rural Berkshire Hills, are tight, and they have a lot of hairpin turns.
We also have an escort car. We have an escort car in the front and in the rear. And then when we got a couple miles from this site here, since the roads were so narrow, we also had to have a state police escort.
And Dave, are the trucks that you use for pulling these boxes on frames, is there anything unusual about the trucks?
Yeah, Bob, they're actually modified to be able to hitch up to the carriers and hook them and take them along. They're typical over-the-road trucks, but if you look at our trucks, the boxes on them are shorter, so that we're able to jockey around these sites a lot better than a normal tandem
So the turning radius and everything is a lot shorter.
Exactly.
Great. All right, so here we can see our Superior Walls foundation, which we put in just a week ago. And this 15-ton section is about to sit down perfectly on our pressure-treated sill. These guys know what they're doing with this crane business, don't they?
Oh, they sure do.
Now, what have they rigged here? I see cable, but...
Right, there's cable, and what we have, the apparatus up high is spreader bars. And the cable is run through the spreader bars and basically comes down and wraps around the box. They drill holes in the outside bands here, and they run the cable through. So really the meat of the band is what the cable's up underneath. And And this allows them then, with the hole in there, it allows them to be able to pull that cable out after the box is set down, so they can fit it right on top of the
And there's also
sill plate.
pick points that we need to be concerned with.
What points?
We call them pick points, and what they are is the fact that where we're actually going to put the cables themselves at. And so we need to take measurements, and we need to calculate where these pick points should be.
And that refers to where you're picking it up in terms of the structure and in terms of the amount of stress that you're putting on it.
Exactly, because you don't want to put a lot of stress on a certain area of the house itself. So you want to redistribute our pick points, we call it.
Now on the inside, I noticed that they're putting up some temporary supports, right? These steel posts.
They're right, exactly. What they'll do is they'll put them in, and then they'll try to level the house off as best as they can. And then after it's leveled off, they'll come in and they'll put the jack posts in.
Is the next section the one that corresponds to this, towards the front?
Well, actually, what we'll do is we'll take that small little piece,
that's
we'll
right.
put
We got
that
a
on the back here
bump that
first.
goes right here, right?
The extension of the dining room, and then they'll put the front
Right.
box in with the living room and stair area in it.
Great, let's go take a look. Next, we'll go inside the house and see how the interior layout is coming together. The crane is setting the second module for the first floor. This is the box that contains the front door for our house. Once this module is in place, we'll be able to take a look at the house on the inside. Dave, this is what you call the marriage point between the two boxes, right?
Yeah, that's correct, Bob. You can see right here we have the come along on here, and we're getting ready to pull these two boxes together.
So as it's being lowered by the crane, that piece of chain on the come-along is bringing the two together so that when they sit down, there's no crack in between.
Exactly. They take it nice and easy and gently drop the box down, and as it's reaching the sill plate, they're getting this as tight as we can possibly get it.
This place is huge.
It is, isn't it, Bob?
You know, when you were in the factory looking at the different boxes, you had no idea until
Yeah.
you're in the space itself and you realize. So this is the marriage wall. This is where the two boxes have come together. And we're looking at a temporary post, but the rest of the steel columns, the lally columns, are right here, and they'll go up later today. Where's the staircase access?
Stairwell's right here, Bob. You see where that plywood is?
Of course.
They'll cut the plywood out, and then they'll build the steps right here on site.
So this is going to have all sorts of different living spaces, including an exercise room and a family area over here and a big TV den at the far end. Let's go look at things from the top side.
Okay.
Boy, this is impressive, though. What you don't really get when you see those boxes flying through the air is that on the inside, they're totally finished, except for a few little things. Now, what goes on here?
Well, Bob, this we call this the marriage wall.
Right.
And what they're going to do now, they'll insulate this, they'll put some metal strapping on, and then they'll put the sheetrock right over and finish it.
And that little bit of a gap is not a problem.
No.
No.
And if you look down at the floor, there really is no gap. The two boxes have come together, and then we've got to continue putting in our bellawood floor. You really protect everything very carefully, don't you?
Yes, it's pre-finished floor, and as you can see, we're all walking on it, so we want to try to protect it.
Yeah. And the other thing, when you're in the factory making these rectangular boxes, you kind of think, well, everything's going to be a rectangle. But when you marry them, you start to get a sense of the volume of the space. And this is the kitchen open to the dining area. And here again, you've got temporary stuff.
Right, that'll all get
That'll all
removed.
come out now. Now this expands.
And this will be the bump that we just put in a few minutes ago. And then this entire area is a living room. What's the dimension here?
This is roughly 30 by...
30 by about 17 or 18 foot wide.
This is a big living room.
Yeah,
Sure
it's
is.
huge.
And here is where you've got a complicated marriage, don't you?
Well, this is just a temporary studding that we have in here, just to keep the boxes together as they're being transported and set on site. Now they'll all come out, and then we'll be able to finish this with a nice flat ceiling.
But the extraordinary thing is that once it's on site, you've got all of these fasteners that are put in, these bolts going through that they can get at from the top side.
Correct.
And so all of this has been thought about.
It's all been engineered.
It's all been engineered, exactly. All right, it's confusing to see a second story section that looks like this, but essentially it's a big shed dormer into a gable end. I mean, into a gabled roof.
That's correct. And the other thing that makes it look confusing is the door that's in there.
Yeah.
Because you're not used to seeing a door on the second floor, but that door is going to open up and go out over that little bump out that we had in the dining room. That floor will eventually be built up to meet that, and there'll be a little outside terrace area.
A little outside balcony or terrace goes there. And of course, we're looking at all this complicated roof framing, which is hinged and flips into place. So there's quite a bit of work to be done with this section once it's in place.
That's correct. But again, the beauty of the system is the hinges allow it to just fold right down, the eave areas, and then the upper flip area where it continues up to the ridge again will fold over, and the plywood's already installed on a good part of that. So we'll just have strips that have to be placed in that'll tie the bottom to the middle and the top to the middle of the roof structure.
And of course, this did not travel down the highway the way we're looking at it here. It's already been unwrapped, if you will, but
right,
the other section, which is still not in place, is shrink wrapped essentially, so that when it's coming down the highway, nothing's going to fly away.
That's correct. We've got to protect the unit from the elements, so all this roof structure is, again, shrink wrapped, but you can see we've left a little bit of the framing in here in these large openings. That's just temporary framing, and again, that will all be removed once that box is set down. Those studs will be taken out, and that'll all be opened up into the other half when it mates up to it.
All right, so the third of the 4 principal boxes are now in place.
That's correct.
And before the other one gets here and marries this one, let's get a little bit of an idea of structurally what we're looking at here. There's more to it than you'd expect, right?
Yeah, Bob, what's a little different about our technology here is we build a separate ceiling from the floor system. So this does 2 things. It enables us to install the drywall in the plant and have a finished ceiling downstairs. Then we put the second box, this other box on top with the separate floor system.
With the floor system.
And
so here we're looking at the width of the floor system, and here we've got the additional width of the ceiling system for the first floor.
Correct. So the next box is going to sit on top of this plate that's on top of the ceiling below. The beauty of this is this floor system now is going to act independent of the ceiling below. And when you have the kids upstairs running around or there's people upstairs, you're not going to hear that noise because of the framing member being a different member than the ceiling member below. That's a beautiful thing in the modular technology.
And you can use the modular technology, for example, for a 2-family house so that you would also have noise abatement between one unit and the unit down below.
That's a great example of where our technology really does exceed stick-built.
Now, as the crane sets this next module for the second floor, it'll form another marriage wall. This floor will have 2 bedrooms, a bath, and a balcony. We have a great site crew, and this whole process is happening very fast. Coming up next, we're ready to set the master bedroom module and complete our modular house. Michael Shields is our general contractor here, and have you ever seen anything like this?
No, this is quite a project, Bob.
Very exciting. And what have you got done up till now in terms of the rest of the groundwork?
Well, we've installed our plumbing inside in the lower section. We've got our inspections for that. We put our slab inside before the modulars are set, completed all the footing drains around the foundation, and we've put in the sills in preparation for the modular set.
And a minute ago, we saw them setting the 6th piece, I guess, which comprises the sunroom that we have, right?
Yes.
And the sunroom is approximately what dimension?
It's 17 by 20.
17 by 20. Yeah, all of these boxes are a good size.
It's a very large house.
Okay, and now we're about to see the... Oh, I wanted to mention, have you ever seen them do this? These are the frames that each and every one of these boxes arrived on. And I was wondering what they were going to do with the empty ones, and the crane just stacked them all up.
Efficient way to get them back to the factory. Only 1 cab needed for all 3 boxes.
Exactly. Well, here comes number 7. Now, this box is the whole master bedroom and bath, right?
That's correct.
So it's got the added weight of a lot of plumbing.
A lot of plumbing, a lot of tiles been installed in this box. The finished floor in the master bedroom's already been installed.
Boy, it's hard to believe that you can steer this box into place just with 2 ropes and 2 guys.
Right. With the cables at a center point there, they can pretty much pivot it.
Yeah, that's a very interesting rig up there.
Yes.
Now, this is about 15 tons, right?
That's correct.
Now, Mike, why wouldn't you want to backfill before you set the boxes down on the foundation?
The foundation that we've used here is a superior wall. It's pre-engineered and pre-cast, so when we set it, it relies on the weight of the box to keep it from moving. A standard application for a foundation would be pour the foundation, backfill, and then you can work closer to the box. But because of the engineered system here, we need the weight of the box to stabilize the wall.
To stabilize it before you put the pressure of the soil back in.
That's right, Bob.
And we have lift down. All right, that is a clever way of getting those trailers back out of here. Now, I noticed the roof is already starting to go up, but I wanted to ask you one last question. From the builder's perspective, what's the advantage of going modular?
Production time. Our production time is cut in half.
Really?
Yes.
So that makes all the difference.
Production time and cost per square foot is cheaper.
Is cheaper by 10, 20?
25%.
25%.
Yes.
That's great. All right. When we come back, we'll see how the modular hinge system simplifies raising the roof. All right, now at this point, this is going like gangbusters, guys. What are they doing up there?
Well, right now, Bob, what they're doing is they're going to be putting in the cable and panels there, those small triangle pieces. And then once they put those two pieces in place, then they're going to flip the top half of that roof section onto the cable.
All right.
Yeah, Bob, again, if you remember, these roof sections were built in the plant, and at that time we pointed out the hinge system. It's a double folding hinge, so what it does is it allows the roof to pivot in two positions, and the roof actually, as you can see, it lays down flat. And again, these are things that are done for our industry to help provide the opportunity for the roof system to be below shipping height.
Right. So what we're looking at now is the underside, which will be the attic, if you will. And what I'm curious about is how are they going to flip it up there? That's a large section of roof.
Well, they may get some assistance from the crane here, and he'll strap on it and pull it up.
And then once they do flip it over, if you see, there's some drop-in, or there's some knee walls that will flip down and they'll rest right onto the centerpiece.
We see that. It's really starting to take the shape of a house now.
Yes, it is. So again, Bob, then we have those strips of plywood we'll be putting in on the lower section down here and on the upper section. They're already ripped strips. They'll go in. And what that's going to do is it's going to tie, again, the upper flip down into the main body of the house roof, and then this lower flip, again, will be tied back into the main body of the house roof. And then we'll just take that titanium wrap then, and it's going to fold it back, and it'll just go right back over.
Well, in real time, we were looking at more like a 12-hour day for this fantastic team of house builders to put all these parts together. The last pieces that came on site involved the roof system for the master bedroom wing, that box that's isolated on the right over here. And in fact, we also had a panelized roof system that went on at the other end where the sunroom is located. And we got a house. We're running out of time. Come home again next week when we're going to be showing you some of the pretty detailing that will go on our house. Till then, I'm Bob Vila. It's good to have you home again. Looking for help on your next project? Visit bobvila.com for everything you need to get the job done right. You'll find Home Again highlights, interactive tools for planning your next project, and helpful how-to articles for every room in your home. bobvila.com, the ultimate home site.